Salut! Hi, my name is Maureen. I'm a blogger and fellow Francophile, and today I just wanted to share my 5 tips for perfecting your French pronunciation or French accent. I'm not an expert by any means, but I did study French from a linguistics perspective for some time, and I feel like I gathered some things along the way that French teachers don't really tell you, so I just wanted to share those with you today. And then one more thing before I start, because I don't like long video intros, is I actually made this video to go along with a blog post. So if you are viewing this on YouTube, then make sure to go in the description and click on the blog post link in the profile, because I think it'll make it a lot easier if you're looking at that either with the video or afterwards. What are diphthongs? Kind of a weird word, but diphthongs are essentially vowels with a glide quality to them. And we have them all over the place in English. For example, in the word right, or house, or boat, or why. You'll notice that you kind of glide your mouth in the process of making those vowel sounds. French actually doesn't have any diphthongs, which means whenever you're making a French vowel sound, make sure to keep your mouth still. This is what makes French vowels sound a lot more pure, and it'll feel like there's a lot of tension in your mouth when speaking French for this reason. So you can just practice this with basic French words. For example, bon, je, les, tout, tu, beaucoup. You'll notice the vowels sound very pure in those words. So that one's pretty straightforward. One of the biggest complaints I hear about French is that it isn't pronounced the same way it's written. But what if I tell you it actually is? The key is just being able to identify certain French letter combinations and which sounds they typically correspond to. So I'll go through 6 examples just to kind of show you what I mean. First one is AI. As an English speaker, you might be tempted to pronounce this A, but really it's more of an E sound as in jet. So for instance, in the word mail, which means email, or pair, which means even. There is an exception here, sometimes at the end of a word, like if it's a verb ending, that can take on more of an A sound. Then there's AU, which makes an O sound, as in kind of like boat. So you'll see that in the French word faux, which means false, or sauté, like sauté. Another one is EAU, which actually makes the same sound, O as in boat. So you'll see that in the word beau, which means beautiful, or bateau, which means boat. Then there's EU, which makes an E sound as in wood. That's also known as the schwa sound. You'll see that in the French word feu, like fire, or deux for two. 2 more. This one's interesting. Vowel plus ILL. If you see this, you really should pronounce it ye, as in yes. For example, in the word taille or feuille. I kind of emphasize the ye sound there, but basically it's ta plus ye and feu plus ye. And then there's ou, the OU combination. That is pronounced ou, as in two, kind of. It's not really an equivalent in English. So you'll see that in the words pour or amour. Really focus on making that oo sound. I notice these 2 words in particular are ones that English speakers don't really focus on the oo sound there. And then this gets even more interesting when you get to longer words or words with combinations in a row. So beaucoup, you have beau plus coup, and then like adri to tu. Or you have, this is my favorite one, the word for pumpkin is citrouille. And so it's si plus trou plus ye. Kind of also like the word ratatouille, ratatouille. Nasalized vowels are vowel sounds that you make using your nasal cavity. English actually doesn't have any nasalized vowels, but French has 4, and they are en, as in gant or enfant, on, as in bon or tomber, un, as in bain or peinture, and un, as in brun or lundi. Obviously, this gets a little more complicated when you have words with multiple syllables or with multiple nasalized vowels. For instance, champignon, that means mushroom. And then there's one more nuance to keep in mind with this. Sometimes a liaison will force you to pronounce an M or N that you wouldn't normally pronounce. So, for instance, in the phrase bon anniversaire, you are forced to pronounce that N. And when you end up pronouncing the M or N, you actually don't nasalize the vowel. So even though you would normally say bon here, it's really bon anniversaire. What is aspirating? Aspirating is when you let a puff of air leave your mouth, and it's something we do a ton of in English, particularly when making the P, T, and hard C sounds. So, for example, put your hand in front of your mouth and say pear, time, and car. You'll feel a puff of air hit your hand every time you make the P, T, and K sounds. French speakers actually don't aspirate at all. So when you're making those three sounds, P, T, and K in French, make sure just to focus on not letting that puff of air leave your mouth. So for example, instead of Paris, it's more like Paris. Instead of tu, it's tu. And instead of que, it's que. It's kind of hard to demonstrate that, but don't go nuts focusing on this, but just know that it's something that really distinguishes English speakers from French speakers. This is another tip having to do with how French speakers pronounce certain consonants differently from English speakers. In this case, the B, D, and G sounds, B, D, and hard G. Quick linguistics lesson, there are two types of consonants, voiceless and voiced. With voiceless consonants, you do not move your vocal cords when you pronounce them. So for instance, the P, T, and K sounds that we just talked about are voiceless consonants. Then there are voiced consonants where you do use your vocal cords when pronouncing them. So for instance, the B, D, and G sounds are voiced consonants. I mention this because French speakers, when making these particular sounds, actually start moving their vocal cords sooner than an English speaker would. So for instance, when an English speaker says Bob, date, or gate, there's nothing really strong about those consonant sounds, but a French speaker would, it's kind of like humming before you pronounce the consonant. So they would say, instead of bon, it's bon. Instead of beau, it's beau. With de, it's du, de. Kind of see the difference there. And then gare or gant instead of just gare, gant. So that one's kind of really nuanced as well, but it's just something to keep in mind. So that's all my tips. If you've watched up to this point, thank you. If you're viewing this on YouTube, then definitely go check the link I included in the bio, because that will bring you to the blog post that corresponds to this video. And if you're seeing this on my blog post, then thanks for coming to my blog. I am not going to tell you to subscribe or something because I'm not a YouTuber, but I just hope you have a great day, and merci, and bonne journée.